Martinique is an island, a department or region of overseas France, and a single territorial collectivity. Martinique, a crucial component of the French Republic, is situated in the eastern Caribbean Sea in the Lesser Antilles in the West Indies. As of January 2019, it had 364,508 residents and a 1,128 square kilometers, 436 square miles land area. It is one of the Windward Islands and is situated south of Dominica, northwest of Barbados, and directly north of St. Lucia. The euro is the official currency in Martinique, which is also an outermost region and special territory of the European Union. Both Martinican Creole and French, the only official language, are practically universally spoken. The Taino name for the island, Mediana/Madinina, which means Island of Flowers or Island of Women, or Matinino, which means Island of Women, is supposed to be the source of Martinique. Christopher Columbus first arrived on the island in 1502, and he was given this name. The island was known to the Caribs as Juanakara or Wanakira, which means the Island of Iguanas, according to historian Sidney Daney. Martinique, an island in the Antilles archipelago, is situated in the Caribbean Sea about 700 kilometers southeast of the Dominican Republic and 450 kilometers northeast of the coast of South America. It is located immediately to the north of Dominica, northwest of Barbados, and south of St. Lucia. Martinique has a total area of 1,128 square kilometers, of which 40 square kilometers are water and the remainder is land. After Trinidad and Guadeloupe, Martinique is the third largest island in the Lesser Antilles. It measures 30 kilometers in breadth and 70 kilometers in length. At 1,397 m above sea level, Mount Peely's volcano is the highest peak. Small islands are common, especially off the east coast. Ships have a tough time navigating Martinique's Atlantic, or windward, coast. Strong winds, shallow coral reefs, coastal cliffs, and cays combine to make the region a famously dangerous area for marine transportation. The North Atlantic and South Atlantic coasts can be distinguished plainly by the Caravelle Peninsula. Martinique's leeward or Caribbean coast is far more conducive to shipping. The island not only protects the seas off the leeward coast from the ferocious Atlantic trade winds, but the seabed itself also falls sharply from the shore. This guarantees that the majority of potential risks are too deep underwater to be a problem and also stops the growth of corals that may otherwise endanger passing ships. The island has particularly mountainous terrain in the north. It has four groups of pitons, volcanoes, and mornes, mountains: the Morne Jacob, an active volcano, the Mont Peely, a group of 5 extinct volcanoes covered in rainforest, and the pitons du Carbet, a group of 5 extinct volcanoes dominating the Bay of Fort-de-France at 1,196 m. In stark contrast to the white sands of Les Salines in the south, gray and black sand beaches have been generated in the north by the volcanic ash of Mont Peely, particularly between Anse-Siren and Anse-des-Galets. Although it still has some spectacular geographic characteristics, the south is easier to travel through. The south sees the majority of tourist traffic since it is simpler to get there and because there are so many beaches and dining options here. Popular beaches include those in Pointe de Bout, Diamant, which is located directly off the coast of Roche de Diamant, St. Luce, the department of Saint-Anne, and all the way down to Les Salines. On this volcanically formed island, the topography is mountainous. The volcanic zones in the southern and eastern ends of the island, as well as the La Caravelle Peninsula, correspond to the oldest regions. Through a series of volcanic movements and eruptions to the north, the island has evolved over the past 20 million years. The island, which lies along the subduction fault where the Caribbean plate slides beneath the South American plate, is volcanic in nature. There are 8 separate volcanic activity centers in Martinique. The earliest rocks are composed of iron and magnesium-rich tholeiitic magma combined with andesitic lavas that date to about 24 million years ago. The island's most striking feature, Mount Peely, created roughly 400,000 years ago. In 1792, 1851, and twice in 1902, Pelee erupted. When St. Pierre was destroyed by an eruption on May 8, 1902, 28,000 people died in under 2 minutes. On August 30, 1902, another explosion claimed about 1,100 lives, principally in Le Morne Rouge and Ajupabouillon. In the Caribbean, the East Coast, Wind Coast, or Island Coast has been referred to as Cabastaire. In Martinique, the phrase Cabastaire more precisely refers to the region of La Caravelle. This windward shore, which the Atlantic Ocean encircles, is open to both the trade winds and the ocean floor. In Sainte Marie, the northern portion of the Grand River is essentially encircled by cliffs. There are very few places to moor, and the only means of maritime navigation is inshore fishing with small, traditional Martinique boats. The majority of the island's rainfall falls in its northernmost portion, which is also highly forested with trees such as West Indian locust, bamboo, mahogany, and rosewood. The brush in the south is savanna-like and drier, and it includes cacti, copaiba balsam, logwood, and acacia. The island is home to fertile ant snakes and anole lizards. As they prey on bird eggs and have wiped out or put in danger a number of native birds, including the Martinique trembler, white-breasted trembler, and white-breasted thrasher, mongooses, Urva oropunctata, which were introduced in the 1800s to control the snake population, have become a particularly troublesome introduced species. The Antillean fruit-eating bat, the Jamaican fruit bat, the little yellow-shouldered bat, the Davies naked-back bat, the greater bulldog bat, the Schwartz's myotis, and the Mexican free-tailed bat are among the various kinds of bats. Martinique has many beaches, although those in the south have white sand as opposed to those in the north, which have black or gray sand due to the island's volcanic heritage. The majority of beaches are untamed, undeveloped, and unsupervised, although others are organized and offer opportunities for sea-related sports and activities. The island has short, torrential rivers as a result of its topographical and morphological features. The longest on the island is the Lizard, which is 30 kilometers long. Martinique's overall GDP was 8.4 billion euros in 2014. Its economy is primarily reliant on tourism, meager agricultural output, and grant funding from France's interior. Agriculture, particularly sugar and bananas, had historically been a major component of Martinique's economy, but by the start of the 21st century, this industry had drastically decreased. Since most sugarcane is now utilized to make rum, the amount of sugar produced has decreased. Exports of bananas are rising, mostly to France's continental territory. Prior to its outlaw in 1993, chlordecone, a pesticide used in banana plantations, was proven to have damaged rivers, fish, and the health of islanders. The economy has been significantly impacted as a result of the need to stop farming and fishing in the affected areas. The majority of the necessary meat, vegetable, and grain needs must be imported. Due to a persistent trade deficit, France's mainland must make sizable aid payments every year. A variable sea toll is imposed on all shipments arriving in Martinique. It can amount to 30% of the cargo's worth and accounts for 40% of the island's overall earnings. In addition, the government levies a value-added tax of 2.2 to 8.5% and an annual due of 1% to 2.5%. As a source of foreign currency, tourism has surpassed agricultural exports in importance. The majority of visitors are from the US, Canada, and France's interior. Approximately 16% of all enterprises on the island offer services for tourists. With more than 7,200 hectares under cultivation, approximately 220,000 tons produced, and nearly 12,000 jobs, direct plus indirect, in 2006, banana production is the primary agricultural activity. Despite contributing only 1.6% of the island's GDP, it produces more than 40% of the value produced in agriculture. 4,150 hectares, or 13.7% of all agricultural land, were used for sugarcane production in 2009. In the previous 20 years, the area under cultivation has grown by more than 20%, a quick expansion that can be attributed to the high added value of the rum produced and the rise in global sugar prices. Farms larger than 50 hectares account for 6.2% of farms and 73.4% of the area under production, indicating a growing concentration of this production. A total of 220,000 tons were produced annually in 2009, about 90,000 of which were used to produce sugar. The remaining tons were sent to agricultural rum distilleries. In the past, pineapple output was significant, but in 2005, the item reports that it barely represented 1% of the total value of agricultural production, 2.5 million euros compared to 7.9 million in 2000. Martinique is beautiful, isn't it? Alright everyone, thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.